What is up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to start with image generation. We're going to do image generation using DALL-E 3 and DALL-E 2 as well. And basically we'll be not just generating image, we would also be editing image, and we would also be seeing how we can do variations of the images that we, let's say, have. So we would be doing all these things. And in this tutorial particularly, we would just be covering the theory part. In the next tutorial we would start with coding, and then later on we'll have a project on my Udemy course as well. So let's start with this thing. I've just made a small presentation for you guys, so let's start with that. Okay, let me make this thing bigger. There you go. Perfect. So as for the image generation, there are three methods, as I've said before. The first one is basically creating images from text prompt. So you give a text prompt and it creates an image, and you can use DALL-E 3 and DALL-E 2, both of them, for this thing. However, for the other two, you can only use DALL-E 2, and the other two are, as you can see on screen, creating an edited version of the images by having the model replace some area of the pre-existing image. So basically they have mentioned this thing using a photo in here. You might have seen this like in some of their their, I believe, when they released this thing, and there was like there were a lot of videos in which people tried to experiment this thing. So as you can see, this is a regular image. We masked some area, and we gave a prompt. As you can see, this is the prompt. Then it would be giving you this thing on that prompt. So that's the idea of editing the images. You don't have to go ahead and do a lot of editing. Basically it would edit the image for you, and then creating variations of the existing image. Basically it would take an image. Maybe it might take if you want to give it can take a prompt, or you can leave it like that, and you can generate variations of the existing image, right? Obviously these two things, as I've said before, are only with DALL-E 2, right? Cool. Next, as for the generations that the images that are generated with DALL-E 3, the standard size is this thing. Basically this is a square. I believe this is a landscape, and this is a portrait. So yeah, you can generate all those three. The default in DALL-E 3 is standard quality, but you can also always give this as a key, quality as HD, and in that case you would get a better quality images. With DALL-E 3 you can only request one image at a time. So basically you cannot have multiple choices of images that you can generate. With DALL-E 2, that's not the case. You can always change the n parameter, and that you can do with the code and with the API. And basically you can generate up to 10 images at a time. So you can have one prompt generating 10 images, right? DALL-E 3 automatically rewrites the prompt for safety reasons. So basically this is something that they say on their official page, and they say that DALL-E 3 would do this, as you can see in here. Now takes the default prompt provided automatically and rewrite it for safety reasons. So this is something that they do, and you can always check that with this parameter. So basically you can once the output has come, you can check it inside this, in which you would be able to see what actual prompt was given. And they're saying that it is currently not possible to disable this thing, right? So that's the issue. Cool. Going ahead, there are a few Python specific things. Now before we go before we discuss Python specific things, let's just discuss some of these things here. So as you can see, this is an example here. This is how this whole code works. Basically you'll have to initiate the client, and inside the client you'll have to give the model, just like a regular completion API. Then you'll have to give the prompt. You can give the size of the image that you want, the quality, whether you want HD or standard, that should be fine. And n would be 1, and it would probably remain 1 because with DALL-E 3 you can only have one generation, but you can always change this n to be somewhere 1 to 10 in between for DALL-E 2 to get more obviously images, right? And obviously the more images you create, the more you'll be charged. So if you increase the n, then obviously you'll be charged accordingly. So n equals to 2 would be charging you twice, right? So yeah, like that. So this is the prompt, and this is the image. As you can see, it was generated, and each image can be returned as either URL, or it can be returned in base 64 data. So it would be a I believe it would be a vector sorry, it would be a matrix of vector. Yeah, multiple vectors in it. And yeah, URL will expire after 1 hour as well, right? DALL-E 2, the edits. So the edits that you can do in those images, so you'll have to, in this case, you have to provide an extra, thing in here, which is the mask, and this would, both of these has to be in PNG format. That's another problem. So PNG would, make sure that it shows the image what part is transparent, right? And then you give the prompt basically, and then it does the rest of the part. So yeah, as they say, it should be PNG square, and it should be 4 MB in size. Yeah, less than 4 MB, right? They both must have the same dimension. So if your mask has a lower dimensions, then it would obviously not work. Non-transparent areas of mask are not going to be used. So basically, the area that is shown here, that you have marked as transparent, only this area would be used. The rest of the area would not be used at all. So they don't necessarily need to match the original image, like the example above. Okay. Variations. So basically, in this case, you take an image, you don't give any prompt or anything. As you can see, you just leave it like this, and it's going to basically create variations of that image, and you can create as many variations you want. N equals to 1. In that case, you'll have a 1 output. Obviously, when you increase the output, then it's gonna increase, right? Okay, language specific things. So there, as you can see, it has two, Node.js and Python. But since this whole code is Python based, so there are just few language specific things. First one, as you can see, using in-memory image data. So basically, you don't have to import an image like this. You don't have to. Yeah, I believe this is what they have been doing with other. Yeah, so you don't have to import an image in this way. You can always do it in this way, in which if you have your image created in as a matrix, then you can use that in here, and you can convert that to bytes.io, and basically you can give that whole byte array, right, in here. So yeah, you can give that, and in that case it's just going to work the same way, right? Operating on image data. So yeah, this is another thing. So basically you could use this library if you want, and you can have changes that you can do into the image before you give that image to for like actual, like before you give that image to the API, right? So as you can see, they have imported and they have opened this image, then they resized the image, and then they went ahead and basically created that into byte stream, and they give that to the API to work, right? Now there are going to be cases in which, let's say, if your prompt has some issue, or if you have given I don't know, some sort of things that are like not a good thing in general, like they could be I don't know, some sexually related thing, or like those kind of things in general, some politically incorrect, maybe I would say. So in that case, you are obviously your model might error out, and in that case you can always explore the error with this thing. So basically you can take that response, OpenAI error E, and then yeah, you can explore what was the error in the request that you did. So that's the case. Obviously you can also explore the response that you get, but yeah, you can explore the errors as well. So yeah, this is how it's done. So yeah, with this we come to the end of the theory part. The image generation part is really simple. It's not as big as fine tuning or batch VPN stuff. Reason being, we don't have much here. We will just start with code in the next tutorial, and yeah, then we'll have our project on my Udemy course. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.